We are continuing to follow the impact that this severe winter storm is having to millions of Americans across the country. And I want to filter through some of these live images that we have for you here. Let's start in Washington, D.C. Take a look at this. A live image that we have of the Capitol building, not typical to what we have been seeing, at least throughout the last several weeks. It's very hazy, and you can just tell that it's very cold over there in DC. Moving on to an image that we have been showcasing throughout this morning, which is over in Virginia. So you can take a look at some of the road conditions there as the snow is falling heavy. But thankfully, we haven't seen too many cars here on the roads. And then this image, which may be the most shocking of the day, this is actually a live look over in Philadelphia's International Airport. You can't even see anything. So it really just goes to show how dangerous these conditions are and just what people are experiencing in different parts of the country. Now, joining us now to talk about this a little further is going to be Zach Taylor. He is the section chief for NOAA's Weather Prediction Center. Zach, good morning and good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, so you saw those images that I had circulated through. Talk to us about this particular winter storm. What makes it probably more dangerous than some of the most typical storms that we see throughout this season?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we're seeing a far-reaching and widespread winter storm. We've had winter storm warnings and ice storm warnings in effect this today from New Mexico all the way up to Maine. And in the southern U.S., we're particularly concerned about some catastrophic ice accumulations across portions of northern Louisiana and Mississippi into Tennessee. We could see ice accumulations over an inch, and that would be crippling to trees and power lines and likely will result in a further increase in power outages over the next couple of days. And then in the north, we're going to see a lot of heavy snow stretching from the Ohio Valley up through the Mid-Atlantic and much of the Northeast and New England. In New England, we could see storm total snow amounts near 2 feet by the time it all wraps up late Monday.
So a lot to get to within that answer. We're going to break it all down here. Another live image, though, that I want to show is this one coming out of New York City. So again, you can't even see downtown Manhattan. It's usually the vantage point, but it just shows that ice has formed over this camera. So very cold in that section as well. Let's go back to talking about this ice accumulation and how that could really damage some of these power lines. So how much ice accumulation is that going to take? And actually here in the camera, you can see they're trying to wipe off some of that ice at the moment.
Yeah, really, once you get ice accumulations in excess of a quarter inch, you start to seeing more widespread impacts. And then certainly at a half inch to an inch is when you'll experience more widespread, more crippling type of impacts. That's when the weight of the ice will really bring down trees and likely result in further power outages. And so that really hampers the ability for folks. And with the cold temperatures likely to continue into next week, it's unfortunate that it'll be a long recovery for some folks given some of the ice accumulations.
We've been hearing a lot from emergency management officials, both state and local ones, and even federal officials as well. How is NOAA coordinating with FEMA and also those more local officials just to monitor this storm and also to provide that really important information that they have to get out to their residents?
Yeah, whether it's at your local weather forecast office across the country or here at a national forecast center, we're deeply embedded, talking to local officials, emergency management community, providing the most up-to-date information and reports so that they can pass that on to the public and so they can take action to those warnings across the country. We are constantly in touch with FEMA and Red Cross and other partners to make sure they have the latest information for what they're doing.
And some of the impacts from this storm could be life-threatening. So there's been reports that some wind chills could reach minus 40 degrees, which just sounds unlivable. How quickly can some of that exposure become life-threatening? I mean, how long can people be outside during these temperatures?
Right. So the other part of the story is the extreme cold. In the northern tier of the U.S., we still have extreme cold warnings in effect for some of that life-threatening, dangerous cold. Like you mentioned, wind chill readings as low as minus 40 to minus 50. And when you get wind chill readings that low, it's only a matter of minutes to expose skin that can result in frostbite and hypothermia. So folks should really pay attention to those warnings. If you have to go outside, make sure you have all your face coverings and gloves and things like that. So, but the best thing to do is just probably just to stay inside and heed those warnings.
Speaking of, I just want to bring us out to this live image quickly here. This is one of the reporters from our team there at Fox 13 in Tampa. So you can see that they're outside braving this cold, ready for a report. Behind them, though, it seems almost like a full whiteout. And unfortunately, some cars are still out there on the road. So I just wanted to bring all of these, and that's not Fox 13 in Tampa, excuse me. Obviously, it's not snowing in Tampa. That's, I think, our team over in Seattle. We're going to have to kind of get the background on this, but I just wanted to show what it looks like when someone is out there given these weather events. Back out live to the image that we have over in Virginia, talking about the road conditions, taking a look at that here. But kind of going back to this, Zach, so when you guys are monitoring this climate and these weather patterns, have you seen anything that suggests that these kind of storms are becoming more frequent or more intense?
The key thing to know, I think, with this winter storm, that it is far-reaching and has a lot of impacts on over 2,000 miles of stretching from, like I said, New Mexico to Maine. It's a lot of winter storm warnings. I think the focus for now is for people to take those warnings seriously and make sure they, if they have to travel, be very careful. But the best thing is to stay indoors. After the fact, we can do attributions about whether any kind of change in climate or otherwise could be attributed to the storm. But regardless, right now, the focus should be on the warnings and what's going on outside right now.
I also want to bring us this, a live image that we are getting over in Memphis, Tennessee, just another place kind of braving these bitter colds. Zach, how does NOAA tailor some of these forecasts and warnings for regions that don't typically experience this prolonged freezing weather?
Yeah, thankfully we have the science and the capabilities to provide some pretty reliable ice accumulation and snow accumulation forecasts for even areas that don't typically see it. So we go back several days, we were looking at the potential for a significant ice storm to affect portions of the South. And unfortunately, it looks like we're starting to see some of those accumulations approach the forecast values of near an inch in portions of Mississippi and Tennessee. So unfortunately, we're seeing the increase in power outages and reports of tree damage in the area, and that's likely to continue through today. The good news, though, it looks like the storm will begin to shift out of the region like by the end of the day and then focus mainly in the mid-Atlantic to the northeast tonight into early tomorrow.
That is really good news. And I also want to bring up this. We have the radar system here, courtesy of NOAA. So it just can let people know, really, look at that, just the vast range of states being affected by this winter storm. Zach, what is the single most important message that people in the storm's path need to know right now?
Yeah, so if you're in a winter storm warning or an ice storm warning, best thing to do is just stay home. Make sure you have all the supplies you need for several days in the case you're unable to get out. I think with the extreme cold that's likely to follow, whatever does fall today and tomorrow, it's likely not to go anywhere for the next several days. And if you can, check on your neighbors and those who may need help. And otherwise, just hunker down and hopefully you stay safe.
And then finally, Zach, when we look throughout the next couple of days, what are some of the most hazardous conditions that people still should be aware of? Even though the storm is going to pass, what's going to linger behind it?
Yeah, so roads will likely to remain hazardous and treacherous for several days until crews are able to clean them. The ice will still linger on trees and power lines, so be aware of that. And then the other story is those extreme cold temperatures. So if you have to go outside, make sure you bundle up and cover your face and gloves and things like that. So the impacts will linger even after the precipitation ends.
Always bundle up, and even better if you can stay indoors. Zach Taylor is Section Chief for NOAA's Weather Prediction Center. We appreciate your time here at Live Now from Fox, just to give us a breakdown of what we're seeing, what we can expect. Take care, and we'll check in soon.
Thank you so much.
Of course.